Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. I call this block More Geese. Finishes at 12 inches. It has 8 flying geese in the side units, and then we just have 4 half square triangles and the rest are squares. So it's a fairly easy block. Here they are set block to block. This is a 3x3 grid, so each grid unit finishes at 4 inches. Here are the patches we're going to use. There are 4 of them, and also includes the Quilt dies that will cut these patches. And here are the cutting instructions for each of the 5 fabrics. I've included instructions for the half square triangles and for the flying geese, the actual size to cut, and then the size you want if you want to trim them down. We're going to be making the flying geese 4 at a time, and for the half square triangles, or the sky part of the flying geese, we're going to make those larger. The geese part of the flying geese, we're going to make the exact size, and you'll see why. So we just have flying geese and half square triangles, then we'll put the block together. These are the squares that go in the corner units, these along with the background squares. This is the large square that goes in the center. These are the C patches, and these make the half square triangles, or the sky part of the flying geese. We're cutting these slightly larger so we can trim them down. This is for the half square triangles, and we'll put 2 background squares with that. These are for the flying geese units, and we're going to make 2 sets of 4 at a time. So we'll put 4 of the small squares with each one. And these are the sky part, and this is the geese part. On all of these half square triangle squares and for the flying geese, we have marked diagonal lines on the back of the background fabric. So let's start with the flying geese. We'll take the large square and 2 small squares and line them up on the corner like this, and like this in this corner. This is also called the no waste flying geese 4 at a time, because you don't waste anything unless you're just making them slightly larger to trim them down like we're doing. So you match these corners, and the diagonal lines, you want to make sure they're a straight line. On each side of this diagonal line, we're going to use a true 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides of this diagonal line. Now we're going to cut this apart on the diagonal line, and you'll have 2 pieces like this. And you press the seams open or to one side, however you like. You'll have 2 like this. Then you'll take the remaining 2 squares and line them up the same way in these corners. Like this and like this. For both of these, on both sides of the diagonal line, you'll stitch a true 1/4 inch. Once that is done, you cut these in half on the diagonal line, and you'll have 2 pieces like this for each one. So for your whole set, you'll have 4 flying geese units. Now I press these. I pressed my seams open like this. When I press my seams open, I press open on the back like this, then I always flip it over and press the front. Every time I press the back, I press the front. So next we're going to trim these down to 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches. Because we cut the geese part of the flying geese the exact size, and we sewed a true 1/4 inch, this should be really close to 4.5 inches. So let's put it on here and see. It's pretty close. Just a little few threads off over here, but we'll just split the difference and call it done. And then we check. This is a 2.5 inch mark, so I've got it mostly along the bottom here, and you want to check the 1/4 inch mark to make sure it clears that point, and it does. Now I have a little bit to trim down here and a little bit at the top, and also the nubs will get trimmed off. So we trim these. Now we flip this around, put our 4.5 this way and our 2.5 this way, and then trim. So we don't have that much to trim off, but now we have a really nice sized flying geese unit. So do that for both sets of your flying geese and you'll have a total of 8 flying geese. Next we're going to do the half square triangles 2 at a time. We've marked our diagonal line. We put these right sides together. Then we'll stitch on both sides of this line a scant 1/4 inch. Now we're going to stitch a scant 1/4 inch. We want a little bit extra room. So 2 lines of stitching, scant 1/4 inch. And this one we'll cut on the diagonal line. And we have our 2 half square triangle units. Press the seams open or to the side. Then you'll have this. And we're going to trim these down to 2.5 inches. Now I'm lining up the diagonal line of my ruler with the seam line of the half square triangle, and I'm looking for my 2.5 inch mark here and down here, and I want to make sure I have enough room on all 4 sides of this to trim it off. So I'm going to move it down a little bit. So we'll trim these 2. Flip this around. Now we line up our 2.5 inch mark here and here in our diagonal line. And trim. And you should have 4 half square triangles. Our half square triangles and flying geese are done. So we're going to make first the corner units and then the side units. For the corner units, we take the half square triangles and the squares, and we'll put them together like this. So this is the corner unit. Piece these 2 together and these 2, press the seams, and then stitch the 2 rows together and make 4 of these. For the side unit, we're going to take 2 flying geese units and piece them like this. This would be the side unit. What I do when I'm piecing these 2 together like this, I'll put this one with the point and put this on top. So when I'm stitching, I can see where that point is, and I can be sure not to stitch over that point. So stitch a 1/4 inch and then press your seams. You may find it easier to press this in one direction. So make 4 of these and 4 of these. Now it's time for the proppet board. All the units are done. We look at the diagram and lay the pieces out. All the flying geese are flying towards the center, and the little triangles are also pointing toward the center. Now we'll stitch the top row together, the middle and the bottom, press the seams, and then stitch the rows together. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.